Morning, everybody. Raise your hand if you slept well. Yeah, I think we're all pretty crushed. That was a killer day one. So I'm going to introduce Alex, who's going to introduce Luke here in a second. But I was thinking, I was looking through my shirts this morning, about to put a shirt on, and this is one of our new shirts called, it says Burn the Gas. And this one kind of like close to my heart. And it's something that I learned years ago, and a lot of conversations last night, people were like, asking like, how are you getting all these people in here, these interesting folks, and all these different experiences that you guys are having? And the key of it is what I've kind of figured out is called burn the gas. And the meaning of that is you can watch all the YouTubes you want, you can watch all the podcasts, listen to all the podcasts, read all the books you want. But when you have true experiences with people to the point where you feel their energy, regardless of what was videoed yesterday, and people who weren't here could watch what happened yesterday, and it won't be 100th to what we felt yesterday here. So what you guys did, you got in your cars and you burned the gas and you came here and you went and adventured. And that's one of the key things that I found in my life, that I made a point to go there and to whatever was happening, whether it was a competition, whether it was a seminar, whether it was a whatever it may be, getting there and just saying, it's going to cost me some time and money and effort and everything like that, but I'm going to go burn the gas and I'm going to go get there. And you guys, everyone hears about SummerStrong, everyone talks that they like to go, but you guys actually made it happen. So give yourself a round of applause for burning the gas. Another side of that is when you're in competition, like we'll be later on today for those who want to compete, and there's no gas that you need tomorrow in the tank left. So if you're competing, whether it's here, whether it's anywhere, whether it's football Saturday mornings or Saturday afternoons, whatever it is, burn it. You've paid for the gas. You're there. You're already there. Put the foot to the pedal, get it to the floor and jam it. Also, our speakers, if you noticed, they left nothing up here. They didn't walk away with any of it. They left it all on the platform. I think Judd Logan said, what I gave, and what you saved, you lost forever, which is really a cool way to think about just giving it all, and it'll eventually come back. But to save it isn't a need. Thank you for burning the gas. Thank you for coming into day two, fueled up as you could be, but let's burn it down.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the second day of the best weekend of the year. First, I'm not a big round of applause guy, but if we could all, just in a general thank you, round of applause to the Soren family, Bert, Pops, Leslie, thanks a ton. Also, let's acknowledge Ricky back here, who does all this stuff, putting this all together. He's doing awesome. It's my pleasure to introduce the first speaker. He's I don't have a lot to say, but I'm going to be real quick here. He's an awesome guy, great dude. Met him about 4 years ago at a Ignition event in Mason, Ohio, which is an awesome organization, great people. And my dad always said that you are who you roll with. And Luke rolled with some pretty good people, so right away I knew I liked them. Along those same lines, though, I have a short list of people who are, if you don't like them, you're the problem people. Luke's one of them. What's awesome is one of the guys on his staff, Chip Morton's another one, my wife and Dan McKim. So just to let you know that. But again, my pleasure. Luke Day, strength coach, South Carolina.
Thanks, brother. Thank you. Appreciate you. Love you, brother. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Good morning, guys. Good morning. I got the Garth Brooks headset on. I was going to do a rendition of Shameless. You had to do the picture with the sweatpants on, Ricky. That's the worst picture ever taken of me, and that's the one you used. That's okay, because that's exactly what I need. Guys, I got to be extremely vulnerable, and I got to lay this stuff out. This is a huge trap for me. All right, this is like if you wanted to catch Luke Day into being, don't put this, my mom's if I say bad things, all right, my mom finds out I say bad words, all right, it's a whole deal, all right, that I got to do, and she gets shaky voice and starts crying, and I feel guilty. So if I get worked up and I say something like, you want to make me be a shitty person, put me in something like this, because this is a little boy desperate to make people impressed. All right, because I want you to affirm me, and I got a lot of big, strong people staring at me, beautiful people, and if I do a really good job at this, right, then they'll walk up to me, and they'll be like, oh, hey, that was great, and I'm like, yeah, I did it, I arrived, this is euphoria, we did it, this is what, so this is a big trap for me, okay, because can we acknowledge how weird this is, right? Bert's a big hunter, okay? Have you ever been out in the woods and saw any other species set up makeshift things to have a seat, face all one of their species, and then that species addresses them for 50 minutes, and then everybody goes, some people we're going to go through a charade, right? Some of you are going to nod, some of you are going to get on Instagram, some of you are going to say that was the best, most unbelievable thing that's ever happened in my entire life, and you don't even really mean it, right? We're the only ones that do that. That's a weird thing to do, human beings. We're so complex. We're so messed up. We're so jacked up. That's what we're going to talk about today. I'm not talking about lifting weights today. I'm not talking about strength and conditioning. Are you kidding me? Tommy Moffitt and Aaron Osmus are next. What am I going to tell you guys how to get strong? I'm the weakest guy in the room. What are we doing? All right? So here's the deal. I have totally screwed up as in this profession. I did the whole thing. I did the young guy where you puff your chest out and you like kind of at the conference, you know, what's up? I did that for a couple years, right? And then Ed Ellis fat shamed me for a couple years, and he was like one time I walked in with a piece of banana nut bread from Starbucks. He's like, oh my God, what is that? And I was like, oh, it's banana nut bread. He's like, next time you order that, take your shirt off, and if you still want to order it, go ahead. And I was done eating banana nut bread. It worked. You can't do that stuff anymore, but it worked. All right? So I was doing that, but then, and I was earnest, and I was trying to be honest, but then it turned into, like, I got strength coachy, right? I wanted to get on ESPN, and I wanted to climb the ladder. I wanted to make more money, and I wanted to, this position coach, oh, he might be a head coach in a couple years. I better get up with him. And it was networking, which is the bastardization of human interaction, all right? So don't be like, oh, I'd love to get your card sometime, because I won't do that, okay? So if you hate what I'm saying, then just attack me up while I'm up here, all right? And we'll tussle around. People like, oh, my God, that was crazy. But at least it'll be real, okay? Don't just nod at me, okay, and we all pretend that this was cool, and then you go outside and pick anvils up. I mean, what the hell? All right? All right, here we go. Okay, so I just keep, I'm like, it's about, I got to read Mel Siff. I got to do super training. I got to learn triphasic. What is he talking about, triphasic? I can't do this. They're smarter than me. And then Derek talked yesterday. I was like, I don't know. I didn't get enough boron in my system. Shit, I can't do this. I can't. I don't know how to time my uploading. I just got a cold brew, and I walked around outside this morning. That's what I did. But all of this stuff, right? And I was trying to read the research. By the way, I failed the CSCCA test miserably the first time. Awful. All right? Don't show that to the administration of South Carolina. They'd be very disappointed if they heard that. All right? But I passed it eventually, okay? But I didn't, because here's the deal. I can't get past, what are we doing? Does this actually matter? If we're going to spend this much time away from my kids, I've missed some stuff, man. I've missed recitals. I've missed the little class. You know, why did kindergartners have a graduation? Whatever. But I missed that. I've missed birthdays. I've done all that kind of stuff. For what? So that we can set PRs? Which we made up. We made all this up. We made this up, right? We made costumes, right? And we put our costumes on, and we're like, if you have that costume on, I hate you. And what are you talking about? And then we take kids, often kids that have a really rough background, and we dress them up in our costumes, and we go, if you don't represent that costume, you're a bad, selfish guy. What is going on? So I'm trying to get to the root of all this, and I just keep editing. I just keep slashing. I just keep cutting. I just keep taking stuff away until I get to, this is not mine. Above all else, it's ancient. We're going to refer to some ancient texts. It's in, just look at it like this. I got it from the Bible. If you don't believe in it, that's fine. Okay? But if it was a super old book that had some like kind of weird Eastern name, you'd be like, oh, that's cool. And you guys, all right? By the way, I think this is the coolest gathering of physical culture going on. And it's also, I noticed this yesterday, it is the largest congregation of aggressively statement t-shirts I've ever seen. I have seen so much smash your doubt and kill your weakness and eat your kids and just all that stuff. I was like, Tommy Moffitt, I got to spend some time with him. That's what kind of facilitates that. We talked for like 3 hours. I would never get, what? That's ridiculous. It's like getting to walk around with Moses for a little bit. It's just outrageous. And he's like, I got to put a black t-shirt on because they're going to kick my ass. That's what Tommy Moffitt said. So you guys scared everybody, all right? Great job. So above all else, here's what I'm trying to talk about. It's got to be more than sets and reps. It's got to be more than are we making our goal body weights. It's got to be more than winning games. It's got to be more. For what? For what? So we can go to the Buffalo Wild Wings Bowl? So I can get a gift card to Meineke Car Care? That's what we're doing? So here's the deal, all right? I believe in God. If you don't, that's fine. We can have a conversation later, okay? But if I do that, I got to assume some truths. And it says, we're made in the image of God. What does that mean? We're made in the image of God, which means He's the creator. And if we are like Him, okay, then we are to participate in the creation of good things. The creation of good things. That's what we're supposed to do. Participate in the creation. And then if we're like Him, all right, think about how many parent, if you have children, raise your hand. Okay? Now, do you, I'm a prodigal son of the church. I don't get along with them. Okay? But I went through this whole deal in high school, right? You ever done this? You go to a youth group and you say, I just want to know what God's will is for my life. Where am I supposed to go? Am I supposed to go do this internship at LSU, or where does God want me to be? I'm just waiting to hear from God, okay? If we're made in His image, okay, and here's how you parent. Do you wake up and you're like, my son, he'll spend 2 years at Conference USA school, and then I plan on him getting his graduate assistantship at an SEC school, and then after that, he needs to get an entry-level position, and he needs to learn how to grind, and I have it all mapped out. If you showed me that about your son, I'd be like, you, sir, are a psychopath, and you're going to break your child, okay? God doesn't do that for us. He does not do that. I believe that, okay? If you're a theologian and you can prove me wrong, we'll talk about that out in the tent after this, okay? But here's what I think. God does not have a specific plan for your life, all right? I heard an author say, God rolled out a bunch of butcher paper, He threw you a set of crowns, and He said, draw something, make it. What do you want? Go get it, mean boy. Let's do it. What do you want to build? Don't do that. That's crazy, right? Don't be a pornographer. That's not good. Don't do it. All right, there's some boundaries of things that are just toxic and we shouldn't do, but everything else, what will the vehicle be you select to participate with me in the creation of good things? And so if we're going to create good things, is there anything more important than loving each other? Is there anything bigger than that? Is there anything deeper than that? Is there anything harder than that? That's what I want to talk about. Can you show me the next thing? So here's my confessions and convictions, which I always do this. I speak one slide ahead. Ricky, just move it. If you think that I'm talking about that stuff, then just go to it. Because I won't do it, and then I got to backtrack, and it's a whole thing. So listen, I've screwed up. The opposite of love is not hate. It's fear, okay? The opposite of love is fear, and the meanest, nastiest, most horrible things I've ever done in my entire life, I did because I was scared to death, right? There's a lot of fear in coaching. You guys watch Game of Thrones? If you ever want to live it, go to a football staff meeting. That's Game of Thrones, right? They'd be like, Coach, I just don't know if we were warmed up enough. Oh, he got me. Oh, shit. Is that yours? Hey, tu brute. Like that kind of thing, right? But I've done it. I've done it. Some of y'all probably heard some stories about me, right? I moved to Colorado for 4 weeks, okay? I didn't leave because I was like, this isn't for me. They asked me to leave, okay? I took my furniture on vacation. I stayed in my house for 2 nights. That's a true story. You know why? Because I did some nasty stuff, right? I had to clear the air with Aaron Osmus. First, I've never met him in person. All right, because he knows some people about the other side of that thing. I wouldn't wish the interaction that I've been through some nasty, terrible things, and all of it people shoot each other in the face when everybody's scared to death, right? You just blow each other up, either literally or metaphorically. I've watched staffs rip themselves apart. I've watched kids rip themselves apart. So here's how I've missed. I took over for Scott Sinclair at Marshall University in 2016. All right? And I had it all figured out, guys. I was God's gift to strength and conditioning. I was 27 years old. I was one of the youngest Division I head strength. Yeah, I even wrote that down because I was a piece of shit, right, to say something like that, to even think of something like that. But I did it, all right? And we broke all of Scotty's records because I'm competitive with him, right? We're going to beat all those records. And we did. We had, Barstool somehow got word of all these records that we had. How did they get records? Because I talked about it to a guy, and then they picked it up, and they're like, this guy, Marshall's gonna kill people this year, watch out. You know how Barstool does. And I was like, yeah, that's right, man, because I know what I'm doing, right? And you know what we did in 2016? We went 3-9. We went 3-9 after Scott and his crew went 10 wins, 12 wins, 13 wins, right? So there was one outlier that showed up, this guy, and all of a sudden we sucked. So I watched people trade in their relationships for fear. I watched people rip each other apart. I watched kids be the most selfish, horrible thing you've ever seen in your entire life. I watched it I said, so I'm missing something. I've missed. The other thing is this, all right? We tend to think we can't come back from missing. Can you show me the next one, please? All right? Because I was paying attention to the wrong thing. I want you to think of it like this. What you pay attention to, that perception literally is your reality, right? So, right here, you guys seem very appropriate because you're big, you have aggressive haircuts, you're strong. Outside of this context, you are inappropriate. Right? You make people uncomfortable at Applebee's when you walk around, okay? But we pay a lot of attention. I want you to think of it like this. Hamartia, that's a Greek word. This is how they define sin. Ooh, that's such a stingy. You're not allowed to say that anymore, right? Right? We're too woke to say sin anymore, okay? But hamartia, all they meant was, go back, please. It meant you missed. You missed the target. But there's a lot less sting in that. The word sin is such a loaded word, right? So yes, I have sinned but you know what? Because when you miss, things get hurt, right? Bert's going to show me how to hunt this fall because I don't shoot to kill, I shoot to maim, all right? There's a lot of deer with limps in Southwest Ohio. All right? Because of me. I missed the mark, man. I said terrible things to kids because I thought that was being a tough strength coach. I dog cussed them because I was trying to impress George O'Leary. I said mean, hateful, ineffective stuff. And I dismissed people. Hey, contempt is way more comfortable, all right, than getting to know somebody. All right? So if you have a bad interaction with somebody, it's a lot easier to be like, man, that guy's a dick. Because then you're done. There's no more effort to be involved. I'm done with that guy. He sucks. That guy sucks. It's easy to do. It's easy to do that with a kid, right? We throw away everything that doesn't work. We have a throwaway culture. We have a throwaway culture. That's why recruiting is out of control. Well, I don't understand it. If a kid can run and he can jump and he's strong and he had good film, well, why is he defective all of a sudden? Get another one. He doesn't work. This one's broken. Give me another guy. That's why recruiting millions and millions of dollars, it doesn't stop. People don't sleep. They don't do anything because we're like, this kid's, he's selfish, coach. He's undisciplined, coach. You just give him a label. That's contempt. That's easier. It's easier to just throw, he's not a program guy. Guess what? He doesn't give a shit about your program. Okay? Your players do not probably care about the university that they are playing for. All right? So don't say key terms, buzzwords, and overused sayings to kids about you got to have pride in what you do. They don't. Okay? You got to learn how to work hard all the time. They don't want to. And we're going to get into maybe why. And if you can understand why, then you can tell them the truth. And if you understand the truth, because nothing changes until we tell each other the truth, then maybe we can leverage it and make a little bit of improvement and have a beautiful, wonderful, awful, terrible experience with each other while we go through that process. Okay? So, here's where I'm at. Above all else, love each other deeply because love covers a multitude of sins. Every time I miss and hurt you and you miss and hurt me, every time I had it aimed right there and I missed the target and dang, man, why'd you say that? Why'd you didn't get through to that kid the right way, right? But if we've decided that all of this is going to be above all else, right? Everybody in America has discipline, accountability, toughness, painted on the walls, right? Words on the walls. But if it's not done out of love, then it doesn't matter. Paul said, right? The Apostle Paul, right? He was the original ISIS. He used to go around and kill Christians, right? And then one day he was like, follow Jesus. And everyone's like, what are you talking about? You literally stoned my buddy last week, right? So Paul was like, if I can preach like nobody's business, let's make it strength coach talk. If I can program, if I can know how to supplement, if I know how to do recovery, if I know where to put the Normatec machines, if I know how to do cold therapy, if I know how to do PRP where we do that and then we rub and then we lift and all that kind of, and I don't do any of it in love, then what does it matter? Because you can't hear me. I'm just a noise. I'm just noise. And guess what? We made our profession noisy, right? We're the noise people. There's not one social media post of a strength coach, I'm guilty too, of us not doing this, right? We just yell. We yell and make noise. Energy. We want to be. Why are we the energy people? Why? When we signed up for it because they started paying us more money to do that. So we just hired clowns. That's what we do, right? If we're not doing this stuff out of love, then it doesn't matter. So here's the deal. If you decide to go down this, all right, you need to be aware that this will be the hardest thing you could possibly do because it is way easier to just stick to sets and reps. It's way easier to do that because then you can just be like, well, let's just get you over to mental health services and maybe because I think you have an issue, right? That's the thing to do now, right? I just had to do a Zoom call with the SEC, and that's what we're supposed to do. I'm like, come on, man, all right? So if we're going to love each other, let's come to an agreement. We talk about that with our guys all the time. It's more important than you do what's right is that you and I agree that it is right. Because otherwise, you're just doing it. We're playing charades with each other. You're just doing it so you don't have to do up downs or get yelled at or make your day harder. The only reason you're doing anything, right, is because you want it to be an easier path than if you didn't. So let's agree that it's the thing we have to do. And when you don't feel like doing it, I'll be the one that holds you to it. And when I don't feel like doing it, you'll be the one that holds me to it. But this is going to be an inevitable. And if it's going to have any meaning, none of this will help you win more games, but it will make it matter. Okay? What we're going to talk about, none of it will make you win more games, but it will make it matter. Then love is a struggle that is inevitable and it is essential. And there's 3 of them that I'm going to talk about today. Know and be known. Tell the truth, come alongside. You got to do those 3 things. You're going to say you love somebody. Don't say you love me if you have not done this. And it's got to be done in this order. All right? To know and be known. What is it? Have you dug down? I'll tell you this story. All right? And I'll show you some whatever data for it later, okay? is we may say, like, I didn't have a nutritionist and all this stuff like I got now, and we used to just make hundreds of peanut butter jelly sandwiches, and I'm like, look what we're doing for these kids. We're just taking care of these guys. Isn't this awesome? Look at us just taking, we're just a service. I just want to be a servant, right? That was a big word a few years ago. I just want to be a servant coach, a servant leader. Shut up, all right? So, and I went, hey, man, have a great day. Thanks, coach. And then I watched him. He goes, thanks, coach. Trash. Thanks, coach. Trash. Thanks, coach. They all threw it in the garbage. Everything I made for them. I showed up like 2 hours early to do it. Why? Because he doesn't value that. That is not his frequency that he receives appreciation. You got to know that about your guys. You have to know, or your people, your staff, your players, whatever it is you're doing, you need to know what way do they receive appreciation. We give our guys the marriage counseling 5 love languages. We do it. They're like, Coach, why are you asking me if I'd rather hold my girlfriend's hand or go out to dinner with you? I was like, just please answer it, okay? Because we found out some really incredible stuff when we do that. I'll get to that. But then I got to tell you the truth. To be hated is to be lied to. If I don't care about what happens to you, I'll just feed you a line. I'm a used car salesman. But I cannot tell you raw, unabridged, unedited truth if I can't get into the frequency in which you can appreciate and receive it. If I don't know you and you don't know where I'm coming from, right, then I can't tell you the truth, right? And then finally, what do we do with this truth? If the truth is not what we wanted to do, right? I've always said the truth will set you free, but first it'll piss everybody off, right? The truth will set you free, but first it'll piss everybody off. So once we've had this truth and we don't like what we found out about each other, we've got to come alongside each other to change it. To come alongside somebody, you got to suffer with them and you got to celebrate with them. Suffer with them, celebrate with them specifically. Suffer with them, celebrate with them specifically. Next one, please. To know and be known. Move on. All right, so here's what this is a snapshot. You can do this with your people, okay? This is our offensive line, all right? What they have is we gave them the Angela Duckworth grit scale. All right, if you're not familiar with that, she gave it to all incoming West Point cadets, right? 4 years later, predicted within 99% who would graduate from West Point. It's got a tremendous dropout rate in the first year, right? To 99%, all right? So here's the deal. We give them that grit scale, right? And we want to get the average. The average of what the team is. How gritty do you think you are? What is the grit defined as your likelihood to stick with something and have a long-term passion and perseverance towards a long-term goal? Graduating, playing football, getting on the field, winning a championship, whatever it is you want to put there that takes years and years and years and tons of work and attention and effort. Right? We find out you'll get guys that they're like, oh my gosh, his grit scale came back so incredibly higher than everybody else, but he's a dick. Well, there's some self-awareness problems there. That's okay. We'll get through that. All right? So then we give them a love language. So I know specifically if I'm having an issue with Wyatt Campbell, right? I know he's a quality time guy. All right? I can go back to that. All right, come here. Put that down. All right? How do I give quality time to when there's 50 people in a weight room and we only have an hour session and we got to get our cleans in? I can't do this, right? So I just kind of, hey, are you doing all right? Just walk with me. Are you doing okay? And I kind of take him aside like, I feel like you and I were not really, whatever it is, okay? And so here's the deal. In that little tiny moment, I separated him from the group, took him aside. I gave him some quality time. What I'm doing there is I'm like, now I'll try to show you how incredible I am. Are you ready? I flood the nervous system with exactly the type of thing they're craving. Guess what? We need to eat, we need to sleep, we need to belong. And that love language, all right, makes him feel like he's one of our guys. Right? You're a dickhead, but you're our dickhead. Right? So I pull him aside because I try to memorize, I try to get to it, all right? Overwhelmingly, all right, we get quality time and words of affirmation. 74% of our team. This will break your heart, the next part I'm going to talk about, all right? So there's why everybody was throwing the peanut butter jellies in the garbage, acts of service. Physical touch, it's uncomfortable. All right? Gifts, guess what? You thinking you throwing them out, swag. Hey, our lifter of the week, man, beast of the week, here's your t-shirt. Oh, thanks. Because that's not how he receives love. It's not how he receives love. You know why? We found out this. If you got a grit scale, standard deviation lower than the team, and you're from a single parent home and it's your mother, right? We had 14 guys like that at Marshall. 13 of them quit the team in 2017. We literally had like a quitter serial killer profile of he didn't get this at home. Right? He's super vulnerable to things that are going to be really hard because he has no foundation to be able to handle that, right? And if it's not worth it, and we'll talk about value in a second, then he's just gonna cash it in. And that's what we saw that happen over and over and over and over and over. So we had a whole football team. I was trying to love them in a way that they did not receive love, all right? Be very, very blunt and honest with you. The way I receive love, all right, is very different from the way my wife receives love. And she don't want to give that type, and I don't want to give that type, right? She wants me to put the dishes away, and I want her to do some other stuff. And she won't do that stuff, and I won't do that stuff. Amen, let's go. Here we go. Right? So know your people. And you know what? Let them know about you. All right? Can you take off the strength coach armor and just say something vulnerable and real in front of those people for a second? Instead of you only I bet, here's another strength coach douche thing I used to do, okay? Is I would demonstrate the stuff I was good at. Right? Everybody, okay, guys, we're going to do, I'm not good at anything. I can't even think of a thing. All right? It would be like a mobility thing. And they'd be like, oh, coach, you're flexible. I'm like, yeah, daggone right. And you can be too if you just, whatever. Okay? So, but that's don't look at that part of me, right? Because I got made fun of a long time ago in 7th grade, and I've never healed from that, right? I'm all over the place, and I know there's no time for it and all that, but I have to, okay? You guys remember Lion King, and he's showing Simba, everything the light touches is yours, right? Everything the light touches is yours. Guess what? If you don't go to the dark spots of you, and you don't go to the dark spots with those men together, right? You are not your own. We got that word on the word discipline. Discipline at the root is disciplis. It's a student and master, right? Because the more you know of yourself and that hurt and that stuff you carry around, right? The more you are your own. The more you own you. Because if you don't go there to that spot that you're trying to keep away from everybody, right? And I've learned this about big, strong guys, right? Usually they got really big and strong because something put a just arrow right in their heart a long time ago. So I'm just going to build this armor up, and I'm never going to feel like that again, and I'm going to be big, and I'm going to be strong, and I'm going to be, right? But if you don't go there, you are not yours. And Paul said another thing, I can't stop doing the stuff I don't want to do, and I can't do the stuff that I said I'm going to do. You ever know that? A staff meeting, they call it, Coach, he just can't get out of his own way, you know? There's always a position coach. He just can't get out of his own. Well, help him get out of his own way. What have you done? Did you have him over to the house? Did you invite him to did you feed him dinner? Did you give him, did you take him home? Did you drive him home? Did you get him around your kids? Did you love him like your son and you did it right next to your own flesh and blood? Then don't say he just can't get right. You just don't want to give that kind of effort because this is hard. This is really hard to do. So here's what we tell our guys, right? If you don't go there, if you don't learn there, if you don't go visit, if you do not become familiar with very difficult things, you are a slave to yourself. You cannot get out of your own way because you are your own master. The nasty version of you. Next one, please. All right? So we're going to tell the truth. I can't tell you I love you if I'm not going to bear all things. There's a whole chapter in Corinthians. Love bears all. Love is patient. Love is kind. Love keeps no record of wrongs. I'm working on that one because I keep a record of wrongs with all the guys. defend, but here's the deal. You also, if there's a truth about us and it's not good and it's going to get us beat and it's going to make my kids have to go to a different school, I got an issue with that. We got to change that truth. Right? And you defending why it is what it is only slowing our progress of improving it. You defending why it's wrong and why it's allowed to be wrong isn't helping. Defend or improve, you can't do both. Next one, please. All right? Now here's the deal. Love this. This is Chip holds me to this, man. If it's important to your program, you better measure it. So would you agree that love and truth, we've up until this point, we've decided that this is very important. It's the most thing, above all else. It's literally on the walls now. We've put real money with graphics people at the University of South Carolina. Above all else is going on the wall. If love and truth are going to be the essential things, the foundation of everything else, we better have a way to measure it. This is how we measure it. All right? We do what's called a grit score. It's basically a binary plus or minus to every single thing you're asked to do ever. All right? There's three of them. I'm going to show you. Go to the next one, please. Accountability. What does that mean? All right? Let's define our terms. Let's don't just say things. You got to be more accountable. He has no idea what you're talking about. He has no idea what you're saying. She has no idea what you're talking about. Go back to accountable, please. So we go, what you look like, we're going to dress a certain way. We're going to wear a certain outfit. Not because we're trying to just mind control people, but it's a representation physically that this is not your time. It's not my time. It's South Carolina football time. You're going to look a certain way, right? You're going to make your goal body weight. You're going to be within 2 pounds of it, right? And you're going to be on time. Accountability. Toughness. All right? It's your effort, it's your body language. We define body language because that can get very subjective. You got a guy, George O'Leary, I don't want any droopy-eyed kids on the football team. And what does that mean? Right? So for us, we're not surrender cobra. We're not doing this. Trying to convince everybody how hard this is. We're not doing this, and we're not bending over, and we're not taking. All right? You do those two things, bad body language. Everything else, cool. I used to go no hands on hips, but Superman stood like that, so we can put our hands on hips. Okay? All right? Energy competitive, daily task of toughness. We'll talk about that in a second. Next thing, please. All right? Performance, do or do not. There is no try. Of course you're trying. If you're not trying, then we should all be fired. All right? Don't just say effort. Because that holds there's two ways of accountability there. If nobody can do it, it's inappropriate. And what I'm asking is wrong. If everybody can do it and you can't, how you living? Where is the truth coming from? Where is your deficiencies coming from? We add all that up. All right? Accountability, toughness, and performance, we divide it by the amount of times that you could have got a plus. And that gives us a grit score. Now, how do you tell the truth? All right? There's 2 ways to give. All right, so Alex, all right? You're sitting there, you're working your brains out. You're a good dude, and you're bench press, all right? There is ways I'm going to show you how to effectively give a minus, all right? My intern guys, all right? Take note, okay? Here's the deal, all right? Do not lord over them as grit lord, okay? And be like, minus, right? Because then he'll just be like, you know what? F you, the horse you came in on, and your whole dumb system you made up. Okay? Because that's what they'll do. And I've lived that too, because I thought I was being minus, right? What you got to do is this, okay? If I know about you, right? Let's say you're an hey man, hey, we ain't there yet. All right? I got to give you a minus though, okay? Because when you do get it, right, then it's actually going to have some meaning behind it. I'm not just going to, that's how you give a minus, okay? Because here's the deal. To tell somebody raw truth, the next one, please, okay? Like, we put that out there, all right? So 85% of the time, that's like going 10-2, right? Nobody goes to the conference championship that's not 10-2 or better, right? That's our cutoff to be called a champion, all right? We have weighted grades, okay? So let's say you hit all your measurables, you do all your Tendo stuff, you're explosive, you hit everything, but you were late one day, boom, 20% off your grade, right? It's like getting a final that's worth 20% of your grade. If you can't even get there on time, then I'm not giving that to you, right? You can't be called a champion. You were late one of these days, right? 65 to 84%, we're great. We're going to the Papa John's Bowl, okay? And then 64, man, you're a loser. I'm not calling you a loser. That's what you did. That's what you put on paper. That's who we are right now, right? This was a violent affair the first couple weeks we were on campus here, right? People are like, why do I got, I was like, I looked you in the eye, and I said, you didn't touch your elbows to your knees when we were doing the walk and press. And you said, okay. And now you're calling me and be like, why did I get a minus on walk and press? And I was like, because you didn't touch your elbows to your knees. Well, I mean, I was trying, but there is no try. It's harder to put your elbows to your knees. Why? So why do we make you do the harder thing? Because you'll get out of your way a little bit more, right? And here's the thing we found out about it, okay? Next one, please. All right? So this is on every board we got in the building. It follows you everywhere you go, right? Bill Parcells, you are what your record is. So you're in that orange, right? Any Tiger people in here, you're the loser, right? We put you in orange, all right? So, right? Red, you're a garnet, you're a champion, and there. So here's how it works, and Byron can hook you guys up if you're wanting to do something like this, all right? But there's the on time, dress, nutrition, lift. That was a kettlebell thing we did, another bench press, all those. If I'm going to ask you to do it, it better have value. And if it has value, I better track it, right? Otherwise, don't tell these kids to do something and you can't say why you're doing it. And don't be like, because I said we ain't there no more. We do not live in because I said so world anymore. All right? Next one, please. All right? Now we got to pay attention to the truth. We create our reality from what we're paying attention to. If we know something's true, this was a little interesting thing we did at Marshall. Okay, these are like the program values: accountability, toughness, consistency, trust, teammate leadership. Well, nothing earth-shattering there. Okay, but we asked these guys to rate themselves on a scale of 1 to 5, 5 being the absolute most, best, greatest. Okay. How tough do you think you are? Accountability. How accountable do you think you are? We asked everybody on the team about themselves. And then we asked every single person that helps out in the football program the same question about that person. Okay? We asked the guy that does the laundry, the intern that does the loops. We asked the athletic director. We asked the defense coordinator, the offensive coordinator, about every single guy on the team. And we compared the rolling average of what everybody else thought versus what you thought. What is your self-awareness score? How close are those two numbers? And what we noticed was our grittiest guys on the team were the most self-aware. The most self-aware people on the team were able to consistently perform the way we said we want them to be: physical and tough, accountable, right? Trustworthy, all these words, because they know who they are. They're not slaves to themselves. The people with the biggest, just detached from reality, were our lowest grit score achievers, all right? Here's the other thing is we did accountability, toughness, and performance, right? The last school I was at, we did pre-snap assignment, technique, productivity. The deficiencies were exactly the same. If you were getting accountability minuses because you'd come in with the wrong shoes on, you were the pre-snap assignment guy. If you were getting toughness minuses because you couldn't finish through a very difficult things were unfamiliar to you in the weight room, you were a technique breakdown guy. And if you were a performance, you just couldn't get the last set of squat and you caved it. Oh, coach, I tried. Those are the guys that just can't make plays. So let's attack your truth, and let's come alongside and let's do it together. But we were able to show that to each other, all right? Come alongside them. A friend sticks closer than a brother. Former world's richest man said that, Solomon, all right? I took out all the verse stuff because then it becomes like, oh, I don't know, right? But if I just said, hey, the former world's richest man said that, you guys will tweet that out. So I did it like that. Okay? A friend sticks closer than a brother. So here's what we're gonna come alongside each other. It's not me versus you, all right? Sometimes we forget. Guess what, guys? On Saturday, we're wearing the same logo. We're gonna be on the same sideline. So why is it always gotta be this like, you're not getting it? Let's not do all that. Let's come alongside. Two things. We're going to have to suffer together. We're going to have to suffer together. We're going to have to go through some stuff together. All right? And I'm going to, on your worst, this is a sick thing, but like, I almost get a little excited. This is a terrible way to put that. But when something bad is happening in one of our kids' lives, right? I don't want it to happen, but this is your moment. This is your moment to connect. Okay? When suffering makes things have value. It makes people have value. Okay? Experiences put pins on your self-map. Okay? The reason why, if your dad grew up a Steelers fan and you watched him be passionate about the Steelers and then he had a heart attack, right, and he's gone, and now the next year that Steelers game hits different, man. It hurt. Literally how that team performs, and you don't know any of them, right, has a pooling on the pins on your self-map. It's there. You're connected at the heart, right? Because the things that you care about, you've assigned meaning to. When you go through something that was difficult, it has given meaning to it. Now, if I go through that with you, you now have meaning with me. Your heartstrings are now tied to my heartstrings. So from now on, what pulls on your heart will pull on mine. What pulls on my heart will pull on yours, because we went through that together. I'm scared. Hey, I got to be honest, I'm scared to death. I don't think I can do this. Me too. Let's go together. Right? That's suffering. The other thing, all right? So here's the deal. Here's how we leverage suffering, all right? We like to make things up that just make you suffer and have to do it together. This is a Daniel Kahneman. Read this book, Thinking Fast and Slow, okay? They did this, he came up with the idea, there's not really two parts, there's not actual two systems, but it's just parts of your brain. System 1, System 2. There's a lot smarter people in this room than me, but this is you could probably teach me something about it. But System 1 is like your limbic, your animal brain, okay? Your animal brain. And it's like the quick reaction. It's hot, let's go get cold. It's cold, let's get warm. It's survival, right? System 2 is your rational, just analytical, override. We can't do that. We got to stay out here. We got a job to do. It's the deeper, harder, we call it expensive thinking because it runs on glycogen. All concussions that we had a few years ago at Marshall, I can't prove any of this stuff as far as like that's a real thing. I'm just saying there's a correlation. Okay? Everybody that got a concussion in 2017 was calorically deficient. They were down 5 pounds or more from their goal body weight. Now here's what I'm saying is, if System 2 runs off of glycogen, sugar, right? Carbs, because it's expensive to override what you want to do. I want to play high. I don't want to move my feet. It's hot outside. Maybe you're taking a shot you're not supposed to take, because you're not in position. It's literally getting you hurt how you can't override what you want to do. Right? They proved this. They followed parole judges for a decade. This is scary. This is life and death stuff. This sends people back to prison. Parole judges, the farther they got away from a meal, the more likely they were to deny parole. They were literally like, you're not you when you're hungry. This judge needs a Snickers bar. He's like, back to jail. That's dark, right? That's as big of a thing as that's as important as it can be. And we're asking guys like, move your feet when you're tired. Move your feet. Well, he's not able to override that because it's untrained. You get addicted to your limbic feedback loops. You get addicted to your System 1. Everything, right? I'm trying to get in contact with this spear fisherman, this diver that goes deep, and he's training heroin addicts because they're addicted to their limbic system. Their animal brain is like, gotta get that fixed, right? It's the same thing. The reason why you have to feel like when you go to the bottom of the pool and you're like you gotta get another breath, it's just CO2 building up in your brain. You can go for minutes more. But you don't because you're addicted to your animal brain. So we've got to undo that. We'll show you how we do that. And then I'm Coach Auspice just punch me, and we'll move on. And you guys go, all right? Check this thing out, all right? But don't say tough this summer with your athletes if you can't define it, all right? Because all it is, it's the brain's chemical equation of, is this worth it? Is this worth it? I talk about this with recruits, all right? I go, fight me. I'm like, what are you talking about, right? And I take out, like, if I put $10,000 right there, and I go, if you beat me up, you get it. Like, I literally watch him for a second. They're like, no, I'm just kidding. Don't do it. Like, but they literally thought, why? Because your brain just went through the whole equation of, is this worth it? That's all toughness is. Is this worth it? So what does that mean? We have to exponentially build value for each other, for what we're doing, for the task, for what we're trying to accomplish, all right? So how do I increase resiliency and perceived value from a kid that is a sociopath? And here's what I mean, all right? When you experience childhood trauma, all right? And I want you to do this when you get to meet if you land somewhere for the first time, interview every single person on the team. All right? And ask them, and they will start just pouring stuff out. Don't be clinical. Don't be like, any trauma? And they'll say, what? Right? What are you talking about? Right? I'm just saying, tell me about your dad. Man, he wasn't around. Okay, let's go there. What's going on with that? He's in jail. Like, there's trauma there. There's trauma there. All right, there's real hurt, real pain. The reason why the math teacher hates your best player on your team is because he is doing everything he can do on the football field to get what he didn't get. There's a reason why 74% of the football team wants affirmation and it wants quality time. What do you want from dad? What do you want? You want affirmation and you want time, right? My son has a nervous breakdown at the home at bat when I show up. He's a better baseball player when I'm not around, right? Because he wants to do so well. Breaks my heart, really, right, that I'm there. So listen, I'm wielding a powerful sword with my son. I could rip him open. And how many times have we recklessly done that to each other? Right? People that were looking to be affirmed by somebody we esteemed and thought were very important, right? If you're somebody in this profession and a young guy walks up to you, please give them the time of day. Tommy Moffitt spent 3 hours with me yesterday. That does not fall short. That is not something I don't recognize how powerful and important that is, and that's why he's one of the coolest dudes in the room. There's a lot of us that spent a lot of time looking in the mirror before we showed up to SummerStrong to see how cool we can put our best outfit on, right? I want to put these pants on because that shows my thighs, right? And the guy with 18 national championships was just like, let's go sit over here and talk. What? Give people the love they're craving, and they will kill for you. And there's nothing. Love is undefeated, man. It is undefeated. We have never stopped trying to kill each other, all right, in the history of mankind because of trying to defend stuff we love. So if I feel like you love me, then I will die for you. All right? But if we don't have that, right, here's what we do with trauma. All right? If you get one of these takeaways, please do this. Oh, my goodness, we got to go. All right? When you experience trauma that you are not in control of, right? You're not in control of anything as a child. You don't get to pick where you go eat. You don't get to do anything. If your parents start fighting and it gets physical, you just run away and hide, right? Here's how we found that out. This is a horrible test. You're not allowed to do this anymore, right? But they tested Labradors. Why? Sweet Labradors. And they would put them in a cage, and they would shock them, just randomly, just shock them. And then the dog would finally just lay down and just give up and wait to die. Right? They put another group of Labradors, and they put a button in the cage, a little red button, and they put them in there, and then if the dog figured out how to push the button, the shock would stop. They kept bringing the dog to the cage, and after a few times visits to the cage, the dog would, as soon as it got in the cage, just slam the button. Stop. Why? Because the dog now knows it is in control of its pain. Okay? If you have experienced childhood trauma, you do not believe that you are in the driver's seat. You are not Invictus. You are not the captain of your fate. You are not the master of your own future. You just get what you got to get before somebody slits your throat, because trauma will turn you into a cutthroat. And I have been on a team that was assembled of just pirate people, right? Like, there was a guy that was like, hey man, don't worry, don't think these kids care about you. They'll eat your eyeballs out with a spoon. And I was like, okay. And he was right. He was right. Right? Like, it's almost like as soon as you fall over dead, they're going to go get your best hoodie because they didn't get it. Right? So you got a kid. So it's contempt is more comfortable. It's way easier to just be like, oh, this kid's he's just a selfish prick, man. He doesn't want to be on. Guess what? That part of his brain that watched his mom got beat by his stepdad shut off to no longer feel that pain anymore. It neurologically turned off. And that part of that brain that receives pain, it's a very interesting way we're put together. The Bible says we're fearfully and wonderfully made. And God's put a part of our brain that's receptive of pain is also the part of passion and empathy and love. So when you shut off to not feel pain, you can't receive love. You can't give love. You're a psychopath. That's the definition. I don't feel anything for you. And you'll just cut them to pieces like Dexter, right? We have people on our football team that are like that because they've been through trauma. How do we undo and rewire the neurological circuits of how we see trauma and suffering? We got to put them back in the driver's seat. We stole this idea. Angela Duckworth, the writer, she will respond to you. If you send her an email and it's not dumb, she'll respond. All right? She helped us build this out. Okay? So there's this program called Outward Bound. And these are the things that you have to increase resiliency and perceived value of someone or something with kids that otherwise don't care. It's got to be foreign. They've never done it before. They don't know what it is because your brain's constantly trying to figure out what it's going to take to accomplish that. If you don't give them that answer, they freak out. All right? It's got to be highly failable. It needs to be dangerous. Right? Not like dangerous, right? But like socially dangerous is a big deal for us. We had a guy like, oh, man, what are we doing? Blah, blah, blah. I said, shut up, you're in charge. He was like, and then he took over the whole thing, right? He took over the whole thing, led it better than our leader, our quarterback, who failed the group before, and we threw them out. By the way, if you fail the test toughness, the whole group has to come back at 6 a.m. the next morning and do it again. So we try to have, it's not just like, oh, fail. Like, we make it painful that you got to do this again. So there's a lot riding on this, socially, physically. It's going to mess with your time. It's going to take away your schedule, all this. So we put him in charge of it. He puts all of his bullshit aside, and he's an artist of it, all right? Artesian bullshit, okay? And it was amazing. I mean, he became a different person. His shoulders came back because they were like, hey, Rick, that was good, man. This kid is like the laughing stock. He's a gigantic, he's 6'5", he's 310 pounds. He was a 5-star. He told me in my office the first week I was there, Coach, I think I might be a bust. Well, he said that. I'm afraid I might be a bust. This time last year, he was in the mental hospital. He'll start for us. Right now. This is what I'm talking about when you rewire trauma, you're in charge of it. I'm very sorry that happened. I know your history, right? I know and be known. I went through some of that stuff too. Come on, let's go together. Because what will happen is it's got to be short. All right, these are some takeaways. All right, create something that's highly failable. It's foreign. You're Yoda here. You're the expert guide. Don't do something that you don't know what's going to happen, because I've done that. When I first started trying this, thank you, Dr. Duckworth, and I hung up, and I went downstairs, and I made something on the field, and it was a 50-person fight. Doc Holliday walked down. He's like, what the hell are you? I was like, I don't know. Get back. It was crazy. It was chaos. So we're like, all right, we won't do that one again, okay? But you got to give them instant feedback. Instant feedback. I love what you said yesterday about cortisol wakes you up, because you got to go hunt. Dopamine's like, we did it, right? Cortisol woke me up this morning. I told Bert, I was like the Pablo Escobar meme. I was just like, I got to speak. I was just looking around. I was here. There's nobody here. I was like, did they cancel? They canceled SummerStrong. I'm the only one here. This is the worst, right? Because your brain, when it does something really hard, you're like, please help me, right? We were doing something, it was called a walk and press. You got to do 5 squat with the center mass bells. That's why we bought so many. So you go here, elbows, boom, 5 of them there, and then you walk, and you're like, oh, this is easy. And then you go 5 more yards, and you do 5 more yards, and then you think you're done. And I go, all right, walk backwards, do 5 more, and then all of a sudden something starts happening. And we had this kid, he's a senior, he's like a super senior because of COVID, he's like a 6-year senior, and there was like this like child, like, am I gonna be okay? Like, is this gonna be, like, I'm gonna die. This is it, isn't it? You've killed me. You've figured out a way to kill me. And like Chip grabs him and goes, hey! He just did that. And the kid was like, don't look like that. And Chip doesn't raise his voice. Like Chip's doing this thing. He's like, a smile on his face, and then like after you hear what he said, like he just cut me in half. I quit. I resign. I'm the worst. Like, because he'll hit you with that kind of stuff. Like the kid was looking like, Chip, help me, because Chip's like this benevolent coach, right? And Chip just goes, and the kid's like, a noise from the pits of hell came out of the kid, right? And he did it, and he put it down, and I go, can you go to the celebrate together, and we'll come right back? All right, okay, look, all right? At that point, your brain is like, did it work? Did it work, right? And you have an opportunity right there to put a calcium deposit on that neurocircuitry that they will be obsessed with replicating that high. There is no better feeling on planet Earth than on the other side of horrible suffering, a celebration because you did it. Do not withhold. That's another thing that we do as men and fearful is we withhold love, right? All right, pretty good, I guess. Right? Dude, you got to go all in right there, especially if he's an affirmation guy. That guy, right? That guy, they're like, coach, he's just not very coachable. I'm like, you're not a very good coach. Don't say that. Right? Because that kid right now will cut somebody for us. Celebrate with them when they struggle. Go back a couple of them. All right? Make sure. Was that the next one? Okay, perfect. So, show the video first. All right? We did this. We called it competitive toughness. All right? Now, hold on. Time out. Hit pause. Okay. All right. Sorry. All right. I'm almost done, guys. Hang in there with me. All right. First off, I see your puffy eyes from all your Bosco brews. You were frothing at the mouth yesterday, right? He said you got a job. I want you to be with me here. Finish with me, okay? All right? I know. Okay. So we did this thing. And I'm not sure anybody's ever done it before, but I was like, let's try it. Okay? You guys know the tugs, right, and the fight, and and you pick a couple guys, right? I was at a school one time, they're like, just pick some walk-ons. I'm like, what do you mean? Like, well, I don't want our guys having to do it. What do you mean, our guys? Like, what's he, a sacrificial lamb? Right? So we held out guys, right? Like sacred cows, as Alex Mirabal calls them, right? He's the offensive line coach at Oregon. No sacred cows, coach, Cuban guy, he's awesome. No sacred cows. Like everybody gets in there, right? So I go, hey, and I went to Spud. I said, I need 20 double-sided harnesses with a strap between them. And we're going to do every single guy on the team is going to get a matchup. Every single person is going to go through an absolute death match with each other, Thunderdome, 2 men enter, 1 man leaves, okay? And we're going to get it all done in 10 minutes. And I presented this to Coach Beamer. He was like, all right, cool, let's do it. So we tried it, all right? And here's what happened, okay? This kid's going to make money, all right? He's a draft pick. He's legit, okay? So if there was a sacred cow, we'd hold him out, all right? So we hitched him up to a guy. You're not going to see the other guy, but here's what I want you to see, okay? I'm just going to give it the raw audio. Bert, do I have to stop? Am I okay? Okay, all right, cool, okay. All right, here we go. Come on, it's long, all right? It's long. That's Mike Peterson. That's his coach. That's the only guy on the planet Earth right now at this point in time he trusts. All right? This has been going on for a couple minutes. All right? Lactic. You got to drag him 5 yards. He is trying to take away from him. Me versus you, man. We're going to go through some stuff. Now, look. Flood it. Flood it. I don't know. That guy's supposed to be on a bike. He's hurt. He shouldn't even have been out there. All right? Get our next group. Okay, pause. All right, listen. That guy has never been asked to be that uncomfortable his entire life. Okay? Because he's more gifted, he's more talented than everybody on our team. Practice is just easier for him. Like, one-on-one pass rush is something to behold. Okay? But what happened here, all right, is we literally pitted the whole team against each other for 4 weeks to just try to tear each other apart. All right? And there was it was a very interesting thing that took place. All right? There were people that ran to be rescued. They went to the trainer, Coach, I don't know if I can, and we just kept making alterations to where the trainer would be like, yeah, he can do that. Like, yeah, but my ankle, Coach, and I got a toe. No, he can do that because we were confronting fear, all right? I think I skipped the slide, but perfect love drives out fear. What that means is for something to be driven out is it has to come in direct opposition of it. All the stuff that because there's some dudes, right? There's some dudes that are really good football players that are okay with us being 2-10 because they're the best player on the team. And they don't want to be shown out. Have you ever been around a guy that sidesteps, right? Hard things so that he doesn't get shown up? I hadn't ran in weeks, and then I went to SummerStrong. He's like, you going to join the trail? I was like, no. Right? Here we go. Right? I'm just kidding. All right. Perfect love drives out fear. John, like the OG John, said that. As in the book of. Okay? All right, same deal. If I would have put the verse, you'd have been like, whatever, dude. Right? There is no fear in love because perfect love drives out fear. But guess what? To get all that fear driven out, it's going to be nasty, it's going to be gnarly, it's going to be hard, and it's going to be beautiful, and it's going to be wonderful. It's going to be worth it. It's going to matter. Right? So the last thing, because I'm corny, all right, we did this. Go to the tie yourself together. All right? So there's 12 flights of steps. We're going to play 12 games in the SEC. There's going to be ups, there's going to be downs. We tied them together and tried to kill each other for 4 weeks. And the last thing we did on the last night was, you are tied to me. All that suffering, all that struggle, all that celebrating, right? Your heartstrings are connected to my heartstrings. Save this belt. We just tied the old school football belts, like the flag football belts, and you're going to go up and down those steps with each other, right? Because where you're going, I'm going. And where I go, you go. And where we go, we're going. And it might be nasty. You might be like, what a great talk, and we get our ass kicked in 2021 at South Carolina. And you're like, that guy was full of crap, right? I'm putting myself, it could be a reality. But it's going to matter. It's going to mean something. Love will tie us together. All right? Struggle is the bind, or the tie that binds the heart together. All right? That's why love is essential and inevitable if we're going to actually mean something to each other. Now, every single step of the way, all right, your brain, because it is limbically driven, will ask yourself, all right, to make a deal. All right? So we have no deals. Okay? Because you are literally, all right? Paul called it, all right? Ian McGilchrist calls it the two brains. The guy Daniel Kahneman calls it system 1, system 2, right? Christianity calls it the spirit versus the flesh. It's old, the concept, all right? Whether you want to call it the scientific version or the church version or the philosophical version, there is a war within taking place. All right? And you wouldn't believe, you would not believe how complicated and sophisticated you would make a deal with yourself. And if you love me, I need you to recognize that I'm making a deal. Because I'll convince myself otherwise. No, Coach, I just can't go today. It's like my knees swelled up. And no deals, man. No deals. You're right. All right? But if I don't know him and I don't have a connection with him, then I can't correct him. I can't just go, man, you're soft, right? Oh, that accomplished a lot. Now he hates you. And the next thing that you're going to have that comes up, which is inevitable, he'll totally dismiss you faster than he did this time. And your contempt, although it was more comfortable for you, was the deal you made to not have to deal with this kid. No deals. All right? Don't shrug something off because it made you think a certain way. All right? Don't be like, that's stupid. Like, you don't know everything and neither do I. All right? That's what got me fired. Right? There's my boss right there, guys. All right? 2019, I was pouring concrete. I wasn't pouring concrete. I was the guy that flagged traffic because they wouldn't let me near the concrete. That's how bad I was at it. All right? And it took me, right, to just getting the absolute proverbial mess kicked out of me to say, man, I've missed. Above all else, cleans, high intensity, West Side Barbell. Come on. Above all else, man, love your brother. Love your sister. Because love will cover a multitude of times we've missed and harmed each other. And that's the only chance we got to make this thing matter. Does anybody got any questions? All right, cool. Anyway.